What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to discuss if Prototype could return in 2020. Now, this is the second day, I believe, of 2020, so Happy New Year to all of you guys, or hopefully it's around that time, but we are officially into 2020 now, and it's a good time to start looking ahead for a lot of game franchises in general. I do want to talk about different games in general of could we see the return in 2020, and Prototype, I love this game. I love this franchise. I care about it. I didn't love the second game, and I talked about that a little bit in the last video. And I had made the last video talking about Prototype 3, and you guys seemed to really, really enjoy it. It definitely got a really good reception for you guys, so I wanted to start making more Prototype videos in general, maybe talking about what a Prototype 3 could be, remake, reboot, whatever you want to talk about. If you guys want me to talk about specific Prototype topics, let me know, as always, in the comments below. I can definitely make videos for topics that you guys want me to talk about, but to kind of kick this off, to have my own idea to start, and then we can definitely start to do some of yours, I want to talk about, again, if this could be a year of its return. And it's, here's the deal. Here's where I ultimately answer the question. I'll spoil it right in the beginning. I truly don't think this is the year it can return, or anything Prototype related would happen in 2020, but I'll tell you this, it's not impossible, and I honestly feel like maybe 2021 or a little bit later could be a time. However, there's a couple ways that it could happen. Prototype is a franchise that I think Activision cares a little bit about. They obviously cared about it enough to let Radical Entertainment make a second game back in the day, okay? Prototype released in 2009, Prototype 2 released in 2012, and that was the last of it, right? So it's over. But since then, it actually did appear on current generation consoles. We're into 2020. We're about to get to next gen, but PS4, Xbox One, if you remember, they did the whole Prototype kind of package where they gave you Prototype 1 and Prototype 2. Now, the problem with that is it was literally just a port. It wasn't a remaster. It wasn't a remake, how we've obviously been seeing a lot of remakes recently. It wasn't even, the PS3 era was really the era of remasters, taking games, or PS3, Xbox 360 was really an era of taking games from the past, the generation before it, and making it look a little bit nicer, but it's still pretty, the camera angles would still be really, really bad, or the camera in general, it still wouldn't look all that good. But we're going to give it back to you because we know you liked it at some point, so hopefully you like it now. And that was, that's what actually kind of plagued the PS3, Xbox 360 generation. A lot of people, it started off really well. I was really excited about it, but then we literally got a remaster of pretty much every game under the sun, and I think people got upset with that. PS4 and Xbox One, we're in this era, and even we're in this era going forward. I think we're going to be in it for next generation as well, of remakes, of remaking games from the ground up. Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Shadow of the Colossus, the Crash games, Spyro. The list goes on and on and on. Final Fantasy 7, which comes out in a few months. Remakes are a really, really big and popular thing, but we didn't even get either of those for the Prototype games. It was literally just the last generation version put into current gen, and it definitely showed. I mean, it's still the exact same game, and while it's fun to play and it's enjoyable, and I'll always love the first Prototype, it has a lot of flaws. The game franchise in general has a lot of flaws. Maybe we can talk about that in a video of how we would have fixed it, or how they could fix it going forward. Still, we just got the base game. So why did I tell that really long story? I love telling stories, firstly, but secondly, when I think of 2020, I think of next gen. What bringing Prototype to current generation did is prove that, well, they care about it a little. They don't care about it enough to have anybody have Activision go to a studio of 15 people and say, can you remaster this? Not a remake. Can you just make it look a little bit nicer? That's it. It shows that they don't even care about doing that, but that they still see some value, maybe because of sales. And the games did sell relatively okay. Obviously, Prototype 2 did not sell well enough, but I think both games, especially the first one, did sell pretty darn well. They clearly do care about that, and they know that the game can bring in a little bit of sales because they were willing to port it over. Now, that could have been just a very easy task that 2 people worked on for a couple of months, and then it was done. Very easily, right? They didn't lose much by doing it, and maybe they made next to no money. Maybe 5 people bought that port, but At the same time, I think a good amount of people, I think people in general did buy it. So they do care about sales. They know Prototype is still valuable in some way. And the IP, the name Prototype, is also valuable. Just having that property that Activision owns. Activision has proven over the past couple of years, even with Crash and with Spyro, that maybe they shouldn't have gotten Crash and Spyro in the first place, especially Crash from Sony. That was a big mistake on Sony's part in general, but still, they've shown that they are willing to bring things back. They're willing to give it another try. They're willing to see if people still enjoy it, and then maybe, if people enjoy it, they can continue it. So it shows that I think Prototype has the same thing. It's a franchise that 10 and a half years ago, it'll be 11 in June, came out, and it's worth something. And so when you look at next generation, I do feel like the possibility to have a Prototype collection, have it return in some fashion, does present itself again. Going from one generation of consoles to the next always, I think, has a potential to reinvigorate almost any game that's ever, not every single game, but games like this. And there's hundreds of examples, but games that maybe skipped a generation, games that got remasters, games that have faltered in one generation or the next, all of those different examples, any game that falls in any of those, they all, when you get a next generation console, the life to them, there becomes a little life there where it's like, hey, new generation, new era, new people playing it. Obviously, some old, some that did actually play it originally, some that still remember it, but you have a new audience now, and it's just, better technology, better ability in general, all of these things, literally every time a new console comes out, that happens. And I think, again, Prototype is a prime example of a game where it has value, it has the name value. They made a load of mistakes with Prototype 1 and 2. People still loved it for what it was, and they, I think we want another one, and we want, whether or not we want to see the story formally conclude, or whether we would just want them to actually get it right. Again, Prototype is a lot of fun. I could do reviews of them, but I love the first Prototype. I thought it was a really fantastic game, but looking back, it has a lot of problems. Prototype 2, it's a fun game to play, but is it even? And that's really all it's got going for. I really didn't like what they did to Alex Mercer. I didn't like switching main characters. There was a lot of problems. And I love the franchise, and I want it to be as good as it possibly can. And if you don't agree, or if I'm saying something you don't agree with in general, that's totally cool. It's just one person's opinion, but I want to see it done well, and I don't actually want it to be left alone. There's some things where, you have a game or two games or three games, or for a franchise, even like Uncharted, you could say. And it's like, I kind of want them to leave that alone. If they continue it, if there's an Uncharted 5, leave what's amazing, what's a perfection, in my opinion, and also just in general, my favorite gaming franchise ever in Uncharted, leave it alone. You don't have to continue it. With Prototype, though, we never really got what it could have been. We got a lot of things that were pretty darn solid, and a lot of building blocks, and a lot of ooh, if they just did that, or if they just did this instead, it would be really amazing. We got a lot of that, which is fine, and they can continue that, and they can improve upon it, but we need more opportunities, or they need more opportunities. And that's the worst part, though, and that's the hardest part, is Radical Entertainment's gone. Okay, they don't exist anymore. So having a Prototype 3, having anything Prototype would require a new studio, and I really think we're past the time of just getting, you're not going to see just a Prototype 3 come out. You're also probably not going to see just a Prototype reboot come out. I feel like that's definitely more likely than a Prototype 3, but it's still very, very unlikely in general. I think what's more likely is, again, with the new generation, they could say, okay, it's been enough time. It's been, at that point, it'll be 11 and a half years, almost 12 years from when the first game came out. They could say, okay, let's see if this does. We think it has a little bit of value. Let's see if it has a little bit of value. And maybe we do, hey, can we get a very small studio? Maybe they've worked with remasters before, or maybe we just trust them because of something. Can you remaster these two games, and we'll put it in a collection, $30, whatever, have these two games on next generation, on the PS5 and Xbox Scarlet. That would be really cool. And you go from there. You see if that does well, and you continue to go up. So that is what I would expect, and I don't think that's it's a reach. It's 1,000% a reach, but I don't think it's the most impossible thing out there. I think if we want to return to Prototype, firstly, that is what would have to happen. And secondly, would we get that in 2020? No, I mean, it's a question. You could think that. You could also maybe think maybe it's like a stealth release. They just randomly do something for 2020 on current gen and they just have it come out. But that would be a little bit weird. So it is definitely a reach to even suggest 2020. I don't think so, just because next gen would come out like early November. You're going to have like 1,000 games coming out. You're going to have also like new editions of games that are released in 2020 as well as 2019. Loads of games they'll also have like next generation additions to them. So you're going to have a lot of games. It's not really the best time to try out if people still care about Prototype because they're going to be focused on other things. So you really look to 2021. You look at maybe the first half, even second half of 2021, and you say, okay, people have it. You know, it's all the consoles are selling well. There's 10, 15, 20, 25 million people that are enjoying it. It's picking up steam. Let's try this old franchise. Let's see if it works, and let's put it out there, and let's see if it's received well. And ultimately, after that happens, it's all on us. It's all on people that want the next game or want a game in general. It's on them to support it. And because that's the only way we're going to get a new game anyway. Even if it's complete garbage, the only way you're going to get another one is if you support what's already been out. It does kind of suck in that way. It also maybe sends the wrong message that we like super love it for the wrong reasons. But that ultimately I feel like is where we're at. So 2020, I feel like no, but I feel like I laid down the plan, the game plan for how we get Prototype back. But I'm interested to see, again, what you guys think. What do you think about what I said? Do you think Prototype will return? Maybe next gen in general, 2020, 2021. And how do you think we would get a brand new, not just a remake or a remaster, how do you think we would get a brand new Prototype game to come out? Again, also let me know any topics Prototype related that you guys want me to talk about. I can totally make videos about that as well, and I totally will as long as you guys leave them, okay? So thank you so much for watching. Again, happy late New Year to everybody. Make sure you guys are subscribed and hit that bell icon. We're going to make more Prototype videos, so again, make sure the notifications are on so you guys see when those videos come up. Thank you as always for watching this video, and I hope to see you on the next one.